my precision is hitting, yup. Greatness is a decision, my precision is hitting, yup. I struggle on the grind, but all they see is the last touch. I struggle on the grind, but all they see is the last touch. Greatness is a...
Yep. First of all, I truly want to say thank you for joining me. I know we've been playing back and forth for a few months, and always been intrigued by you, man. Always been intrigued by you. I've been following your Instagram for a while, and you have a lot of good philosophy. Got a lot of good thought, and you're one of those people I can feel your energy. I think I told you that. I said the world needs to see what you have to offer, hear what you have to offer. I think you have a lot, man.
Thank you, man. That means everything.
You're welcome.
Like,
you're welcome.
It just flows, and I feel like as I mature as a human being, I see that sharing is a responsibility.
Okay.
It's so much more bigger than me. You know, I look at past leaders, past entertainers, and imagine, wow, what if they never shared? What if they never spoke their mind? Where would we all be as humanity?
Man, yes.
Yeah.
What if they never had the courage to get up and say, you know what, I'm going to do this? And that's what we were talking on the phone tonight. That's what this podcast is all about. Our motto is greatness is a decision. It's about walking your path to greatness, because there's so many people who have so much greatness inside of them, but for some reason, for multiple different reasons, they don't get up and pursue it, whether they were filled with doubt from parents, those around them, whether it was just, you know, looking at the world and thinking that they don't match up to what's around them. It's a lot, and I want to help break that. And you said something perfect about bigger than you, and that's what I've been on. When I leave here, I want to do things that were bigger than me. You know, when I was young, it was all about, oh, I want to be a hot rapper. I want this, I want that. But when I look back at it, I never really wanted those things. Those are things I thought I was supposed to want. If
Love
that
it.
makes sense.
Clear sense. Clear sense.
So,
I was about to go in, but I'll let you finish that thought.
Oh, no, I'm just gonna say, before we finish, I just want to formally bring you in. Welcome to Boss Code TV and the Boss Code Media platform. This will also go on the Code the Path to Greatness podcast on Spotify. And we are sitting here with Xavier Simmons. I'm very grateful for this interview. And what I like to do, instead of telling people who you are, I like for you to announce yourself as who you are.
So I'm Xavier Simmons, just a lifelong learner, student of life. I mean, all around artist, from music to podcasting to software engineering. I just love to learn and challenge myself and solve problems.
I like that, man.
Thank you, man.
I like that. You grew up in Hollywood, man. You grew up in Hollywood. And the crazy thing to me is that you're so grounded. You know what I mean? Like, because I think, man, I don't know if I told you this, but I'm a lifetime DMX fan, bro. Like, I can't even explain to you what that man, I never even met the man, but what he meant to my life. And that's crazy to say that. You know what I mean? But my mom and dad got divorced when I was 11. A couple years after that, DMX came out. And I used to joke with people like, DMX dang they raised me after that age, because it was like, and Dark as Hell's Hot was in my CD player every single night. You know, and I heard him rapping about you. I seen you in the movies with them and all this stuff. So just tell me what that was like, just growing up in kind of that world and where you are now.
That's right. Oh man, it was so bizarre. Like, it was bizarre, surreal, a dreamlike fantasy, because you know, we had the access and the resources to travel anywhere on the planet. And a lot of times I was going with them, like my mom and dad, because my mom and dad were running the business. Like, he was the entertainer and she was handling the books, making sure everyone was coordinating. And I'm just right there. I'm on tour. Like, I was on the The greatest hip hop tour ever.
Rough Rider Cash Money?
Um,
Or
nope, that was one of them. It
you talking about the
was
Hard Knock Life?
yes,
Okay.
yes, the Hard Not Life tour,
That
and
was the greatest hip hop tour ever.
that, yo, and just being backstage, seeing all of these figures who are still rising to the legends that they are now. And I'm
Right.
now just like, wow. I mean, Jay-Z, Method Man, Redman, like everyone, and
Fox.
yo, Locks. Now I think not was Nas on that tour. I think.
I don't think I was on that tour.
Okay.
I don't remember if he was, but you probably had who else would have been there? Man, it was on the tip of my tongue. Whatever. Yeah, but that crazy tour.
It was wild. It was wild. Like so, and also just getting swarmed by people that even as a youth, because my dad got famous when I was like 5, going into 6 years old.
Oh wow.
I still somehow I understood what was going on.
Mm.
I understood. I've just naturally always been very perceptive and been able to tap into what's going on around me. I may not have always had the words, but
Right.
I could see what was going on.
Right.
And it was just, it's another world. Like when I say it's another world of that life, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone tells you yes. No one tells you no.
Mm.
But a lot of times they always want something is the down part of it. And sometimes they're upfront about it, which actually I respect more, but more often than not, they're like, hey, and it's just like, listen, just be upfront.
Yeah.
Just be up.
Yeah.
Strange, man.
This is epic picture that I always enjoy, man. Is a picture of both of y'all on leather jackets. And I think it was the opening for Never Die Alone or one of the movies. It was a premiere for one of the movies.
It was Never Die Alone. Yes.
Yeah, both of y'all sitting there with the same leather jacket on, man. That was always a dope picture to me. But yeah, man. Yeah, and I like I said, everybody in my life knows who that guy is. You know what I mean? To me. Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I just had to step away because my allergies are still messing with me because I'm allergic to cats. And
Oh.
over the holiday break, I was at my friend's house and like 12 hours straight, and they just their cat like really got.
Man.
But yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I tried to
Okay. Cool, man. But yeah, that's
right though. Never Die Alone.
Yeah. Never Die Alone, and there was just some great history being made, man. Like I said, not to keep harping on it, but everybody in my life knows. Like they thought of me, they thought DMX because I thought DMX was just that. I mean, because it was just and I see that in you, that pure genuine aspect to be yourself.
Yes.
Not perfect, but to be yourself. Right. And you can't teach that.
That.
Yeah.
That. And thank you for seeing that.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes people do and respect it, and sometimes they don't. I mean, and I'll tell you the spectrum of it. I remember when I first did that, for an easy example, the Yanla show. A lot of people respected what I did. Oh, the Yanla Van Zant show, like the Fix My Life. A lot of people respected it, sending me messages on Twitter, but also a lot of people condemned it. I had people saying, oh, DMX can do whatever he wants, be with who he wants. And I'm just like, wow, like,
right.
There's a lot of people who stand for righteousness, but also a lot of people who, really stand for nothing. And,
Exactly.
whoever a person is right and wrong is wrong. And when you are a married human being, wife or husband, doesn't matter. When you are a married human being, it is your duty to be honorable to your partner and to your family.
Amen.
So, thank you.
Amen.
And when like there have been many times that I was tempted, to not be swayed. So to give you an example, this is real life, like behind the scenes activity.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, like several shows, like this was a thing, just to be honest with you, it was a thing. And when my dad, like after he finished a set, he would go to the security guard, and this is word for word, verbatim. He'd say, "Yo, go pick out 4 of them bitches out in the show and out in the crowd. Make sure they fine too. Get 2 for me, 1 for my son, and 1 for his friend." Yeah, that was one show. Yeah, one show in particular. We were in Maryland. Yeah, it was Maryland. Yeah, because it wasn't too far from New York. And by that time, I may have been maybe like 12, 13. And the women, they were like late 30s. Yeah, late 30s. And I'm just like, yo, is this really happening?
And they were still willing to deal with you?
Oh yeah. They were with it.
Because he gave the order. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like when I tell you it was that easy,
right.
It was that easy.
Wow.
Like, my dad went off to the side into some room. My friend who was, he was just with whatever. He certainly and I want to make sure I speak about him with integrity, because I mean he's actually they're both not alive anymore. He was with it too. Yeah, he was with it too. And I was just like, nah, like this woman is more than twice my age. And like, I don't even know you. Like, I don't even know you. And she, like I said, all 4 of the women were with it. And they knew. It wasn't, oh, I don't know how old. He like, nah, they knew. Yeah. They knew. So I was just like, whoa.
To them, they was getting the open door to, be around celebrities and, possibly live that life. So they didn't care. Man, that's wild. That's wild. I can see how hey, those posters are dope, how you got them on the ceiling.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yep. Thank you, brother.
Of course, you would have Spider-Man on the ceiling.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yo.
Oh, yeah, man, I can see. So recently, I got married in 2021, man, and
bless you.
Yeah, thanks, man, and love my wife, love my family. So I get everything you're saying about being honorable, because it's a gift. It's a gift that you have to take care of and manage and all those things. But I recently think now, man, because I moved out of my hometown. I'm kind of like out in the middle of nowhere now in a small town, and I kind of like it, man, because nobody knows me. I'm away from all the nonsense, and I'm at a point in my life now where I think like, man, I'm so glad God didn't give me what I thought I wanted years ago. Because any of us can, you know what I'm saying? Because any of us can take a turn.
More than
like
you know.
If you would have gave me what I thought I wanted at 18, I might not be here talking to you.
When I tell you, you are speaking it, listen. When I was about 15, 16, well, okay, so to give you the full context, when I was 14, I started rapping. I started making music, primarily because I was going through a heartbreak and I was suicidal. She
Mm.
was my first love. And
That's
I
always
could,
tough.
yeah, I couldn't grasp with it any other way. So music just came.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and actually, before me and her separated, like a month, maybe like a month or 2 months before, my friend was like consistently rapping.
Uh-huh.
And we were hanging out on a Friday night. And on a Friday night, because I'm from a small town, this small town called Mount Kisco in New York.
Okay.
And it's like really like rural suburbs, a lot of trees, like population is like 5 or 10,000. And like there's one major high school, everyone knows everyone. So my friend was like, yo, I'm going down to the studio in town. And I'm like, all right, well, I got a couple hours to kill before she comes. Her name was Denise. I'll just say that. Her name
Mm-hmm.
was Denise. I was like, I got a couple hours. I'll vibe out with you. So we go to the studio. And mind you, I've been in the studio with my dad thousands of times with the best of them from since I was born. Like I've
Yeah,
always
man.
been around it. So
That's
it
wild.
wasn't anything new. So, but this was the first time that I was in the studio
Yeah.
for myself or supporting a friend. So so I go in and this beat comes on and we're just rapping and they're like, yo, come on. I started freestyling on the beat. That was it. That was it. I said to myself, and mind you, I had never felt anything like that before,
Mm.
where the second I opened my mouth and heard what my voice sounded like over the music, I said, yeah, this is what I want to do for the
Mm. Okay.
rest of my life.
Yeah.
And was hooked ever since.
Yeah.
So to fast forward, when me and her separated, um, I went back to the music, just writing over instrumentals, anything I could find. And that got me through it. That was the only thing that got me through. And when I got 15, 16, my ego became inflated because by
Mm.
that point I had gotten really good. And what I was rapping about, it was it was blended because it was deep life topics, but
Yeah.
also very vain and flashy. Um,
Braggadocious.
yes, yes, of the world. And if if I would have gotten what I wanted at that time, I would not be where I am.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. And I know it,
Amen.
like
Yeah.
of praising money, of praising, you know, numerous empty sexual relationships, and because thinking in my programming back then, thinking that all of those things, like, this is what you should want. If
That's
you're
normal.
that's normal.
Yeah.
If you're a man, these are the behaviors that you should exhibit.
Yes. This is how you conquer the world. Yeah, I
You
get
see
it.
it. You see it.
Yeah, man.
Mm.
Yes. So at what point did you cause I'm assuming you put down the pen because of that.
Yes, like I transformed the pen.
Mm-hmm.
I transformed it because um I transformed the pen, and really, only naturally. Like as I kept getting older and expanding, I just wanted to talk about things that felt more real to me.
Right.
Um and that's just what I was doing. Pardon. Okay, I thought it was. That's just what I was doing.
Right.
From talking about what it means to be spiritual and what it means to live in a drug culture in high school, and because that's another thing, I felt that I had a fresh perspective that I wasn't really hearing about, at least from that time when I was rapping, that where I was growing up, there was more drugs than I had ever seen in
Wow.
any hood or ghetto. No, like the hardest I'd ever seen, outside of school, like the most I ever saw my dad do was weed. The most I ever saw his friends do was weed. Like it
Right.
never got harder than that.
Right.
If they did it, I never saw it.
Exactly.
But in my high school, there was weed. They had coke. They had prescription pills that were
Wow.
that were
Early.
early, yeah, early,
Wow.
like um 14, 16, that got passed around like Skittles.
Man.
And I like it blew my mind because media is so big, and I would see media depictions of drug addicts usually being Black people and brown people,
Yeah.
where in reality what I was experiencing was just white people, like
Right.
like doing intense, like
The hard
I've
stuff.
the hard stuff. And it was so casual. Like I would go to my friends' houses, and the parents would offer us alcohol, like and not just a bottle or two. No, like they had an entire cellars, and would ask us, hey, you want some 1842 bourbon? Like it was just like
That's
yo,
crazy.
yeah. I'm like, this is wild. And but I don't regret it. I don't
Yeah.
regret it. I wouldn't I wouldn't take anything away. And what I learned was, like, there was this one party in particular. We were all at we had a bonfire at my friend's house, and at that point, I didn't even like smoke weed yet, because I did pick up smoking weed eventually, but not
Mhm.
until I was 25.
Oh
I don't
wow.
Yeah, I don't do it anymore, but yeah, so I did from 25 to about 30. Yeah, 25 to
You think
30.
being around a lot of it and that those studio sessions and stuff like that made you not want to be a part, not want to do it, or did you just
Definitely.
naturally not want to do it?
Yeah, it definitely did. And you know what? It turned me off because, and I can only say this now because I've gone through it. It was
Right.
programming. It was
Mm.
programming of weed is bad. If you smoke weed, you're a bad person, which actually isn't true. Like
Right. Right.
I no longer smoke weed, but when I tell you the breakthroughs that I've had on that plant, and yo, like I don't regret anything. And like such fond memories. Like it opened me up as a human being,
Yeah.
of having these deep conversations with strangers. Like
Yeah.
we were going to a cipher, and then we just start talking. I'm like, yo, I never would have spoke to this person otherwise, but I'm happy I did.
Right.
Happy
Right.
I did.
Yeah.
Like like there was this one time in particular, and it's as fresh as day. My girlfriend at the time worked at a gym, and I was still waiting for her to close up. She would close out the registers and make sure everyone was out of the locker rooms. So I'm outside just waiting for her on the bench. And um, the lifeguard was there. And we're just talking. And he's like, hey, I'm about to roll one up. You wanna smoke? You wanna sife? I was like, all right, shit, let's do it.
Yeah.
Turned out we had like an hour-long conversation. He was from Hawaii, so he didn't even have shoes on. He didn't
Wow.
even have shoes on. He walked home. I never saw him again.
Wow.
Like, and I'm like, how did I never see him again? The fact that he worked at the gym and was a lifeguard. He wasn't, a member. He was a
Right.
lifeguard, and I never saw him again. And still to this day, one of the most profound conversations I've had. And
Wow.
I don't even remember what was said, but I remember the energy exchange.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, man. Again, just a beautiful plant.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Like
Yeah.
I'm not somebody who smokes in my life, but I don't I don't condone people that do or you know anything like that. I do want to say one thing because you talked about the drugs and
Yes.
what you've seen people doing and stuff like that. Do you notice the big change from back, let's say, when your dad and all them was coming up to now, how drugs are just like rampant throughout the lyrics of hip hop? Bro, back in the day, the worst thing you would hear somebody talk about is smoking weed and maybe some Hennessy and some 40s or whatever. And I remember it was like early 2000, I started seeing it change, man. And a lot of it started with with a lot of the Gucci man and stuff like that. They was talking about popping pills and
Mm.
and I was like, whoa, like that's different. Because coming up, that wasn't like a hip hop thing. Those things weren't hip hop things that you talked about. One second here, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so it's just strange to watch things grow like that. And now you have all these not it's just the norm now. Now these guys aren't even really coming from the urban environment. This isn't even a race thing, whether white, black,
Mm.
whatever. They're not even coming from those rough environments, but they're coming out making music and they're talking about guns and drugs and all this stuff, and they never even had to be exposed to any of that stuff. You
Mm.
know, it's kind of like what we were just talking about, how there's a time in your artistry where you're saying stuff that you think you're supposed to say.
That's right.
But it's ruling the music industry now. Like, man, when I was coming up, you could actually get knowledge from the guys that were rapping. I could get knowledge from Tupac. I could get like Tupac and DMX is my top. They share that number one spot to me
Mm.
because they're the most vulnerable artists I've ever been exposed to. But I could get real life knowledge from those guys when they would say certain things and still live by those things even to this day.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Come on.
but now it's not the same, man. Hip hop really sold out. It got bought out, and it's kind of like you say. It's just the it's just that atmosphere and what it does to people, and they want to keep making money, keep being rich. Because hey, I'm a human. I've had some a successful go at music, man. I've had a lot of shows, put my own tours together, made music, but never to the point where I could go anywhere where I want at any given time, right? So I don't know what that feels like to say, you know what, let's hop in a jet and go to Miami for the evening. And then let's go back and be, you know what I mean? Let's go back in New York by the morning. I don't know what that's like, but I can imagine that energy and how addicting it could be and how it could kind of suck you dry.
Man, responsibility.
Yeah.
Responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, to get on what you said about the drugs, you said a lot of it so well. Like, so much of the culture and the music has been hijacked, it's been bought out.
Yeah,
Just bought.
man. Yeah.
Like, the people that own it solely looking just chasing profits
Mm-hmm.
and have a specific agenda that is being pushed.
Yeah.
And when you own the product and you own the distribution of that product
Yeah.
and you own the marketing of that product, this is where we are now.
It doesn't even belong to the artist anymore. I do like that we live in an age of independence now, but
Yes.
those artists, it's still not as beneficial because there's still that poison in the independent arena because they don't put the spotlight on guys who are speaking the truth or saying something that can educate people, or they don't want people. In all reality, the same people who own private prisons help run the music industry, help run the media, help run all those things. So they're giving destruction, so they get you coming and going. The music, and then they're getting your bond money too.
Come on.
You know what I mean? So, and that's when I really had to really realize, like, because it's been an evolution with me, man. Like, I remember in my early 20s, I stopped cussing in my music. My mom told me, like, you don't need to cuss in your music. There's no reason to cuss. And I'm like, you're right. Like, I remember being 14, studying a dictionary. I don't need to cuss. I know these words. You know what I mean? So I stopped doing that. And just as I got older, I just started seeing the bigger picture. Even with this media company, had I been doing this years ago, it would have been a whole nother type of media that I've been putting out. You would have seen models and rappers talking crazy and people doing this and the stuff that seemed normal at that time. But now it's like, man, if it can't uplift, if it can't provide comfort or some type of refuge then I don't want to do it. I mean, who needs another media outlet telling lies and gossip and rumors? And we enough of that. You know what I mean? Like, people sit up and they sit around and watch what's going on in celebrities' lives and talk about it and they debate about it and all that. It's crazy to me, And everything has its place, but at this point in my life, man, I'm understanding the power of a platform. And I think you personally, man, you have a lot of energy, a lot of thought, a lot of insight to give people. And that's just a perfect segue into my question. What is your vision on life? What is your path right now? What is your, let's say, mission or agenda in life right now? Or are you trying to find that mission and agenda right now?
The timing of this question is everything. So I'm transitioning into retirement. And let me explain what that means, because I know it could be many things for different people. For me, I've acquired enough resources that work is now optional.
That's dope.
And thank you. And I can now multiply what I have. I have options. Now I'm thinking about, what do you want to do next? What do you want to do next? And what I keep, aside from the obvious, because I will get a rental property just to have that generating in the background. But for my soul, I keep returning to music. And I've had conflicts about it. And here's why. I've grown into myself, and I will continue to grow. But I've reached a very specific understanding and maturity that a shift in my mindset, I can hit the button and be a sex symbol.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just talking about this the other night with two very important females in my life, friends. There's something about my energy that attracts women. And I was speaking to them that with that, I strive every day to be responsible with that energy.
Right.
With that divine, with that powerful feminine energy that's coming at me.
Right.
Because I know my role as a man, I lead. And I have the power to direct that energy to positive or negative.
Hmm.
So I'm aware of my magnetism, my charisma, and my confidence. And I've observed what other men have done with that power. I mean, I've observed my grandfather. I've observed my father. I've observed Muhammad Ali, Elvis.
Yeah.
What happens when you're irresponsible with that power?
Yeah.
And they really, when I was speaking to them the other night, they really helped me shift my perspective and just reassured me that, Xavier, I hear you. However, you can be a role model to other men of what it looks like to be vulnerable, how to channel their power responsibly, how to channel their sensuality responsibly. And you can do that.
Right.
And I said, I can. Because I never want to be consumed by it.
Right.
Ever.
Understood.
Because I know, like, I aspire to be married, to be a husband, to have children of my own one day. And I know at that point, the pressure is going to get even more intense in
Right.
terms of the responsibility, because I'm going to have, my wife is on my arm and I have children to take care of and look over. And women are like this, like just throwing themselves, and to again come back to center and remember it's all a show.
Right.
And that at the end of the day, I still have the power to direct
That
the energy.
show. Yeah. When you were talking, it reminds me of what I think often. I'm a praying man, Christ Father.
Come on
And
now.
there's parts in the Bible where it talks about your gifts and how, there's the one parable about the guy that buried his gifts, right? Everybody else multiplied their gifts. This guy, I think he had two of them and he buried his. Remember, he had one and he buried his. So he didn't go multiply his. So I often think, so I struggle with the same thing. I struggle with the same thing, not necessarily the same topic, but just in general, knowing that the energy that God has blessed me with and knowing what I'm capable of. And sometimes, and knowing that you have to, you're responsible for that energy. So I think instead of hiding it, we have to learn how to hold it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy to say, you know what, this is gonna burn my fingers. I'm not even gonna mess with it. But it's supposed to burn your fingers because God wants to teach you how to hold it.
Come on.
Man. Yeah, teach you how to hold it. And once we learn how to hold it, that's when we get that godlike energy that we can actually use for good. You see all these guys, and I'm not going to name names because I'm not one of those people that I don't ever want to be a rumor gossip thing, but there's a certain person in headline news right now, week after week, who's in a lot of trouble because they've had that power and they've been using it for wrong. They've been using it for wrong for a very, very long time, and it's catching up with them, But and that's what it is. It's not about hiding the gifts. It's about knowing the gifts and knowing that God's gonna teach you how to use that gift and hold that gift. I mean, you think, look, he told Moses to go say, let my people go. He said, I don't know how to do that. You know what I mean?
Come on.
Moses said, you got the wrong guy. He said, look, I'm slow to speech. I don't know how to do it. He didn't want to do it. God got mad at him. Like, look, I told you, go on down there. You know what I mean?
Come on.
But he learned how to hold that gift that he was given. Some people don't learn, man. You look at man, I love Michael Jackson, and bro, that is the scariest energy I've ever seen in my life.
Come on, man.
That is the scariest energy. Bro, I wish I don't want nothing to do with the energy he had. because I don't even know if it's possible for a human to hold what he had. Bro, straight up. Bro, I remember being a kid and I watched this guy pull a glove out of a box and just dangle it. And people falling out.
Yes. Yes.
Falling out like they got the Holy Spirit.
Come
Like,
on.
like I don't want that energy, but this energy is real. And maybe he could have learned how to use it. Maybe he ran from it. Maybe he could have been a lot more. I mean, he was great. I'm not putting nothing on his name, but what if, I mean, he could have been a real life superhero, all we know. But didn't want that energy because it was scary to him.
Yes.
You know, there was times he had to hide, bro.
Come on.
You know, so that's the only kind of my thought for what you're saying is just a little input in it, man. It's just you know, just I don't know if you're a praying man and stuff. I'm assuming you are, but yeah, I'm assuming you are because based off of your dad and just how you go and everything. But just ask God how to teach you how to hold that energy, man, because you got it. You know, you just gotta learn how to hold it, man. And when it start getting too hot, take a minute and pause.
Oh,
you know, regroup, and you know that's all it is, man. How to not burn your hand,
brother. When I tell you, your words are bringing tears to my eyes because I know my assignment. I understand my assignment. I have seen it in my sleep every single day.
Amen.
But when you just said of learning how to hold it, not until that moment, this moment, it has come full circle.
Wow.
Because every other moment, I've been tiptoeing around it. I can admit that. And not tiptoeing because I'm afraid of it or don't value myself, but tiptoeing around it because I understand this energy ain't nothing to play with. And when you come, you better come correct.
Exactly.
So,
bro, the reason, and what helps me understand that the most is because I am also someone who understands my assignment.
Yes.
And there's times where I've held back because it scares me because I know what comes with that assignment. You know, not only do I know the energy that comes out of me, but I know the energy that comes at me from that assignment. You know what I mean? But I always bring myself back to this. One day we're all gonna leave this earth. We won't be here no more.
Yes.
And we're really only here to do our assignments.
Yes.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe that God wants us to eat, drink, and be merry and have fun, you know, and with reason and responsibility and all those things. But he doesn't want us to be consumed to the point where we forget our assignments.
Come on.
You know, I believe some people are sent. I believe some people are born and some people are sent. And I think you know when you're sent, and you know when you're supposed to do something, and you know when there's a great calling on your life. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. And I feel like, you know, like I would say, I know there's a great calling in your life, man. I told you that, maybe not in those words, but months ago when we were texting, man. I see. I don't know what I'm looking at yet, but I know. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
And it's kind of mind-boggling when I I say that because I sit back and kind of watch you and listen to the different videos and stuff like that. It's like you're like a centered version of your dad as far as like your thought pattern and your philosophy, and you know what I mean?
Yes, 1,000%. I agree.
Yeah. So, and that's what it reminds me of. But I feel like, you know, he had a calling, you have a calling, and we all have to just fulfill the things that we have to do, man. And you know, I'm the kind of person I always pray, like, let me take care of my family, my household, all the things, but never let me put anything even my family, over my calling. Because anything can consume you to the point where you start being too comfortable.
Yes.
You know, I look at Martin Luther King, man. It brings tears to my eyes when I watch his speech. One of his last speech, he says, yeah, I want to live to be old and have a picket fence. He said, longevity has its place. He said, but that don't matter to me no more because I've been to the mountaintop. He made a conscious decision like, yes, I want to be here. I want to enjoy all these things, but I've been to the mountaintop. I've seen my assignment. You know what I'm saying? So,
come on.
And that's not a, and sometimes that thought scares me, man, because it's like, love is scary. Love can be very scary because I feel like the more people I truly love, the harder it is to, if God says, hey, go here and go do that. You know what I mean?
Come
the
on.
harder it is to walk through your assignment.
Come on.
You know? But, you know, and I work through that in my own time and stuff like that, but I'm just being very transparent about myself too, because I get it, man. I get it. You know, even my boy, Nipsey Hussle, one of my favorite artists, he said in a song, stuck with this decision is a funny feeling. Knowing when you tell the truth, they gonna come and get you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so yeah, man. I mean, I feel like every great man that walked the earth had to come to terms with these decisions.
I understand that more and more. Yeah.
Yeah, man. In some way, shape, or form, we all have to, in order to be great, not in the eyes of, see, there's great people in the eyes of society because they make money. You know what I mean? They'll say like, oh, that's black excellence. Meanwhile, a dude over there completely grimy behind the scenes, but they'll call it black excellence just because the guy has money.
Come on.
And his business pays off and he's popular, but excellence is being the best version of yourself. And being rich isn't necessarily the best version of yourself. You know what I mean? That's why I love when you said I'm retiring because I've acquired enough resources to basically finally dive into the real things that you want to be doing. And that's real. That's real.
Yes. Yes.
And that's freedom, bro. So my advice is, hey, you got the biggest blessing right there, that freedom. That freedom to learn that now you're in a whole new arena to learn how to hold that fire, man.
That phrase, hold that fire, like that, because I'm and I feel like you resonate with this too. Words.
Yes.
Words give our world shape.
That's real.
And I didn't have a word for it.
Right.
Until you just said that. Hold the fire.
Yeah, bro.
And when it burns your fingers too much, hey, let it cool off. Put it down.
Let it cool off, yeah.
And then you pick it back up again. So like
exactly. Hey, what do we do when we go to eat our food? If it's too hot, we just wait a second. You know what I mean? We just wait a second, man.
It's so simple, but so
we don't throw it away. Yeah, man.
Wow. Oh my God. Yo, like when it makes sense when it's simple.
Yeah. But I think as humans, it's easy to make it hard because humans have our senses. We're thinking too much about, oh, what about this or what about that? And I get it, man. But I also know the deathbed can be a very remorseful, I wish I woulda, what if I did this type of place? I mean, still statistically, that's the number one thing people say in their deathbed. They wish they would have lived life the way they wanted to.
Yes.
You know, so and you got it, man. It's gonna happen. You know, you got a calling on your life, bro. You do. And just keep doing what you're doing, man. God shows the way. Like me, there's times I hit a brick wall and I'm like, man, I don't know what to do next. But in time, it always that brick wall eventually disintegrates and I move forward some more. Boom, there's another brick wall. You know, Steve Jobs said something that was really dope. He said when you start to do something, don't worry about how it's gonna happen or the resource that you don't have, the things that you don't have. Just trust that you're gonna figure it out along the way.
Mm.
You know, and that resonates with me, man, because even with this media platform, man, I mean, I started off of rap. That's my passion. Like that's my passion. And then it started with other things, magazine, clothing line. And like I never got taught how to do any of this stuff. I don't know. I never knew anybody who started their own media platform. And to be honest, it was nerve wracking for me because what I wanted to do is just put one show on Roku, Fire Stick, and Android. But that option really wasn't out there. I had to put the whole uh media platform with different channels, and I'm still building the channels, but I know in time it's going to be exactly what it's supposed to be. You know, over time my heart is slowly being converted to exactly what I'm supposed to be doing and saying. You know what I mean? Like I used to be real, like people automatically think like it's a hip-hop thing, but if you look at the stuff, there's very little hip-hop going on with what I'm doing. I do that on purpose because I want a wide world view of all people, not music. I mean, whether you're a parent, whether you're a nurse, whoever's trying to be the greatest version of themselves, I want to talk to you and just talk out this life stuff, man, you know, and hopefully be helpful to each other.
Oh my, thank you.
You're welcome, man. Thank you, man.
And you know, and for the audience too, because you know they wouldn't know, but I want to let you know. Thank you for being persistent and consistent and reaching out. Because as you said, like this has been months in the making.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. You know
Thank
what?
you.
Something just kept telling me, like, man, hit him up again. Hit him up again. You know what I mean? Because I know we all get busy. You know what I mean? So I mean, seriously, right now there's somebody might hit me up for a week. So I'm going to get back to him, but it's life, you know. So I appreciate you, man. So you say right now you're basically retired from what you used to know. Yes. Got enough resources to figure out exactly where you want to go.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Now I see you play the guitar too, man.
Yo, the guitar, electric, acoustic, and the bass.
Wow.
The drums, the trumpet, the piano, and cello. Yeah.
Wow. What made you want to dive into all those instruments? Was it just a hunger for more?
Yes, partially a hunger for more. I remember I was 16 and I started, like, at that point, I already told you, I had been rapping for 2 years already. And I was feeling burnt out. Burnt out because what I was feeling as a human being and what I was evolving into, rap just couldn't express anymore. It just adequately expressed. So I'm like, you know what? What if I start singing? Like I was hearing melodies in my head and starting to produce different music on Fruity Loops.
Yeah.
And I started exploring with that. And one of my favorite groups from that time was this group called Coldplay.
Uh-huh.
And their first album in particular just spoke to me. Like for me, no skips. I still go back to that.
So that's their first album ever?
Yep.
I'm gonna have to check it out. I've never dove into Coldplay before.
Man, like me personally, their first 2 albums, the first one is still the best for me, but their first 2 still great.
Okay.
And that album, that first one, is so wild. Even now, I can still trace my structure, like my arrangements as a songwriter, back to that album.
Wow.
Because I didn't know, you know, what a structure should be. All I knew was hip hop structure. Like, okay, you got three verses, 16 bars each. Each chorus is 8 bars. Sometimes you have 2. Sometimes you have 2 choruses. Sometimes you have 3. So that's all I knew.
It's kind of like a cage almost in hip hop structure. You just
Yeah, yeah,
insert
yeah.
verse, insert chorus, insert. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yo, yeah, yeah. Yo, and actually, yeah, that's what I was feeling.
Yeah.
So I wanted something different. And when I heard that record, that just opened it up. I was like, oh, okay. I like what they're doing and I like how they're doing it. And
Right.
I just went on from there and started developing my own structure just naturally of
Right.
how I like to songwrite. And when I asked, because I didn't know how to play the guitar at first, I started when I was 16, like I think it was like October or September. I didn't know. And I knew someone who did. So I asked them, hey, I got this song. Can you play guitar with me? And they would flake. Oh, I got to do this. I'm busy. I said, you know what? I'm just going to teach myself
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait on anyone
Oh man, I
to
love that.
play the melodies that I'm hearing in my head.
Right.
Then I just kept going, like, because and I didn't know anything. All I knew was I have melodies in my head and I got to get them out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit at this instrument until they come out. So I'm just putting my fingers anywhere. And oh, that's another thing. I learned how to play the songs from that Coldplay album, that first one. There's
Oh.
this there's this one song in particular called Sparks. I learned I learned how to play that song and like two other songs on the album.
Mm-hmm.
I was off to the races at that point
He
because
was like, I got this.
got it.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I got the fundamentals. There's 6 strings. You put your fingers in some sort of configuration and then things come out. All right, I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
And I just kept going from there, from piano to really everything else, because it really doesn't change. It's just the expression of the sounds and the frequencies that change. But
Right.
once you get those fundamentals, you can bring it anywhere.
Right.
Anywhere.
Right. That's dope, man. I know what you mean about new outlets to express yourself. Like, I haven't picked up other ways to express myself musically, but as a listener, over the last probably 10 years, man, I listened to a lot of classic rock, a lot of you know, Sade, Incubus, Nirvana, the Eagles, Pink Floyd's, because at the end of the day, I'm a lover of poetry. And then with the new hip hop, I'm not getting that poetry no more. So so I started digging into the old stuff and see what I missed. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so
come on now, come on.
before we get out of here, man, I want you to have the opportunity to talk about your book and your podcast. So
Yes.
let's talk about that a little bit.
So first, I'll start with my book because it's not as long as the podcast. My book, I wrote a book, and I'm actually contemplating writing another one. But firstly, I wrote a book called Perils and Promise, and it's a collection of short stories, poems that I've just written. And the journal entries, 100% true. Some of the short stories are taken from truth and then, creatively expanded upon, but the journal entries, 100% true. And the reason I wrote the book was to challenge myself.
Right.
I had saw other people writing books, and I thought to myself, what if you wrote a book, Xavier?
Yeah.
And I was like, nah. I was like, wait, seriously, what if you wrote a book? Then my mind started going like, wait, what if I did write a book? If I did, what would be in it?
Right.
Then that just became, I started going through all of my different journals and different stories I had written. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, the going back, entries from 2010 and 2011, because I released the book, I think it was 2016 or 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And just going back, looking at the growth was everything.
Yeah.
And to actually challenge, that challenge of, listen, you're not going to write it in one day, but you'll get there. And
Right.
eventually I did. And the feedback, like, still, like, people will say, I mean, here we are right now. Like you even
Yeah.
mentioned, like, it still resonates.
Right.
Because it's just true. There's nothing fluffed, like, in the sense of just air. Like, these are real stories. And even when there's a creative flair to it, it's to bring home a profound point.
Right. Right. I like how you said that. Isn't it
Yeah.
interesting how attracted people are to just genuine truth?
Man.
So I'll make this short, but most people aren't happy with themselves for whatever reason, because society teaches you have to look like this, you have to have this, this has to happen, that has to happen. So what happens is most people disguise who they are in talk in ways or act in ways that they're really not. So when you get somebody like yourself, it's easy, like, whoa, this is good stuff. Not that it's not good stuff, but it's also because it's genuine as well. You know,
1,000%. The amount of times I've encountered people, and it's just during casual conversation, they're like, Xavier, you know why I like talking to you? Because I feel like I can just be myself around you.
right,
I don't have to say anything or be anything. You'll say how it is, how you feel it. You're not programmed robot.
right.
And thank you for that. Like, and even when I speak to you, you look in my eyes. You're present. You're
No
not
doubt.
just you're not just saying, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Like you're actually engaged with what I'm saying.
Right.
And I just treat people how I want to be treated. Like, really, it's just simple as that.
It
You know,
is
that,
that simple. Yeah.
like, there have been there was a long period in my life where I didn't feel heard. So I make it my duty to pay it back, to pay it forward. When
Mm.
someone is speaking to me, they have all of me. My eyes,
Right.
my
Right.
energy, I'm engaged. I'm not scrolling at my phone or like, oh, right. Oh, yeah. Like, no, there's none of that. Like, I'm right there
Right.
with you. Um, and on that, I've learned and observed that listening, listening is healing. Like,
Mm.
it's literally healing, and it can heal the world.
Right.
When everyone is listening to each other consciously and
Mm.
not just listening to respond,
Right.
but listening to understand, it heals the world. And I say that so confidently because I've seen it, I've lived it, where people that, and these are of age people, like adults, and all the way to children. Because I used to be a camp counselor at the Boys and Girls Club for a few years.
Mm.
And all of the kids that they would say had behavior problems, every single one of them, because by some miracle or divine intervention, I would always end up in the group that had those kids. Every single time, just us conversating, in a few weeks' time, they were completely different kids.
Wow.
When I would say to them, hey, listen, tone it down, sit down, they would sit. If
Right.
I like every single time. And that just showed me that a lot of times when people act out or just angry, it's because they don't feel heard.
Right.
They
Which in turn
just
makes
don't
them feel
feel.
not respected.
Yep.
And then when you listen to them, you gave them respect, so now they're giving you respect back. Yeah, that's real, man. I'm glad you said that, because that's actually something I need to work on. Not that I really think I struggle with it, but I find, like, and I really think it comes from like years of social media and notifications and all these things. Like my mind is always, I feel like I'm always gonna be checking on something, and it's hard to ground myself sometimes. But I really think it's from social media. So I start putting my phone like just on the other end of the room for a portion of time at night, just to give my mind time to think its own thoughts and process. But yeah, man. So let's hear about the podcast, man. Tell us about the podcast before we get out of here.
I will. And just to piggyback on what you said, like, man, that's right. Like that's and I relate, and you're not the only one.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're not the only one. Like because these phones and social media, but these phones have altered our brains, altered our attention, the way that we communicate. Like I'll get to my podcast, but I follow this.
Good.
Yeah, I follow this Instagram page, and they show things from like the 90s and early 2000s. And just last night I was looking at this post, and they were showing kids, walking through high school in the year 2006. And I'm like, wow, like I wasn't in high school in 06, but I was in school. 06, I think it was in middle school. I was in middle school, 06. And like when we were talking to each other, we just talked. Like, and when we were bored, we went for a walk, or we rode bikes, or the most digital thing we did was we had screen names on AOL.
Right. Hey, you wait for that little door to open and talk to somebody. You're like, oh, she's on. Let me talk to her.
Yo, that feeling, yes, thank you. I'm happy you lived through it too. Yes, thank you. Man. Like, it's just a different time. But on the podcast, so it's called The Process, and on Spotify, Apple, and
I love that name, by the way, The Process.
Ooh, thank you. I've sat on that for a long time. Like,
oh yeah,
like couple years. And as far as getting the courage to release it, a few months, because again, it goes back into, I'm a very private person.
Okay.
And that's one of the highest values that I have for myself. It's, we're talking about, and it's not, I wouldn't say a particular order, but peace, family, privacy,
right,
prayer, God, like,
right.
It's up there. So again, I was hesitating because I'm like, all right, now when you do this, we're going to do it, right? There's not going to be, hey guys, so I had granola for breakfast today. Like, no. Like we're going to go deep dive. And Xavier, you got to be ready. You got to be ready. You got to be ready mentally, spiritually. You got to have the endurance.
Right.
All right. Because when you drop it, it's going to impact a lot of lives, more than you're even aware of. So come correct. And when my grandpa died, it was the final straw. It was like, all right, now you know what? Now you need to do it. Like you have to, because you watched this man's health decline over the course of 30 days.
Wow.
30 days. Now, we didn't know until he passed, but he was battling cancer privately for 15 years.
Wow.
15. And not until, like I said, those last 30 days did his health actually decline, in his weight, that we were able to see it And still, he wasn't saying anything, just still living life, smiling, living with family. I'm like, you know what? And I feel like God was just showing me again. It's like, okay, you didn't see that life isn't, you didn't what's the word? You didn't learn yet that life is finite. I already showed you with your father. I already showed you. You know what? Now I'm going to show you again with your grandfather. Okay.
Wow.
And now I got it. I completely got it. Like, you can be here today, gone today.
Right.
And when you have an assignment and you have something to say it.
Right.
You have to.
That's real.
Um, yeah, thank you. Thank you. And
Because you might
so it's
not get another chance.
uh, no,
Yeah.
no, no. And it's on season 1. And season 2, I'm preparing for sometime early next year.
Okay.
And the response has been overwhelming. Like, people in my, like, just messaging me like, thank you, like, when you said this, I related it, to my dad when he had alcohol, and like,
Right.
you said this, like, I'm still struggling with my siblings, pardon me, like, just thank you. And man, I'm just grateful, like, I'm just grateful.
Yeah, man. I thought I commented on it the other day because I was watching the episode.
Mm.
I think it was I forget what number episode it was,
Yep.
but I just really like how you went into detail. Yeah, 4. I really like how you went into detail about things and really just, share the human experiences that you're having. Because I think that's one thing we're really lacking in this world is the sharing of human experiences, which is why we're here right now to do so.
Man, sharing
Yeah.
sharing because, like, we're all, especially, I feel like now more than ever, it's easy to get stuck in this bubble of, okay, this is post worthy, this is story worthy, and it's very, very perfect manufactured.
Right. It's like, well, I'm not going to share this because not many people will like it.
I,
Or sometimes, you know, people might go back and delete something because people aren't liking it. They might have 2 people that like it, so they delete it. But hey, maybe those 2 people needed that. You know what I
that
mean?
that
It's not about the how many you're getting. It's about who's getting it.
come on.
And that one person that gets your truth might go change the world one day. You know, when you weren't happy with it because you're looking for 100 likes, 1,000 likes, but hey, and there was a time in my younger years, I used to think like that too, like, oh, well, let me delete that because nobody's really messing with that post. Like, that's not what it's about.
Straight up.
Yeah, this isn't a
Yep.
product. This is my thought.
Come on, come
You
on,
know, if they don't like my thought, then I mean, I'm not going to say it.
come on.
You know, which I think has really kind of led people into this well, it's one of the reasons why people don't speak their mind as much because they don't feel like people will like it. It's been conditioning people to say what people are going to like versus telling what's on your mind. But that's a whole nother story. I can get in that all day long with Facebook and telling you what you can say or not. And that's another reason I want to do this platform because it ain't no YouTube where they're going to say, oh, you're saying this. So now we're going to pull the video off and forget that noise. You know, it's about telling the truth, man. About telling the truth. And it's funny, man. It's funny how we've slowly became okay being censored. Like, it's
Yes.
the norm, bro. It's crazy. It's the norm to be like, oh, I was in Facebook jail. Oh, I was in YouTube. Like, bro, that's crazy.
Come on.
Like,
Come on.
the fact that that's a reality that we live with and are okay with.
Mm.
You know, like I use Facebook for like my family and friends. You know, I'm a Packers fan, so I'll talk about the Packers on there, man. But I don't really get into too much on there because it's not a platform for the people. You know, it's a platform to retain people and to know what people are doing and know where people are at and to sell your information and to and to analyze your thoughts. They can use it for AI, and you know, it's just it's crazy, man. So I don't know, man. I just see a higher calling in the media platform now. Like people really need a place to go where it's not celebrity, where celebrity gossip isn't news.
Yes.
Where it's okay talking about you're striving to be the best parent and not some superstar. You know what I
Come on.
mean? Or whatever you're trying to be in life, man. It's just people need a platform for the people.
Yes.
You know, but all these other platforms, man, it's all about take, sell you information, advertise this. It's crazy, man. It's like it's crazy what all this online has become. It really is. You know.
Yo, on that note,
Uh-huh.
do you see or have you observed that people would actually invest their time and energy into that platform if it were created?
What platform for the people?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of hard work, man. Like I said, that's my goal right now. Not necessarily. Do you mean more like a posting type of platform?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't clarify.
So no, you're good. I think it's just so hard. The right person would have to do it. Somebody who can't be bought out would have to do it.
Okay.
You know, because the problem with people, they don't start off the way they are. They don't start off with the idea to sell information and to do all these things. But then once you get a certain level, you have certain conversations with government entities and political powers, and they want to buy you because now you have power. And you're not allowed to have power in this world unless you're giving that power to the system. You know, so the system that we live in, they fear anything powerful, so they have to buy it out and make it their own. So it would have to be the right type of person or people willing to put in the right type of work to truly make it a platform for the people. You know,
Well said.
And
Well
I don't
said.
really know what that looks like, man. It's like, yeah, you have Twitter, they let you say what you want, but at the same time, people on there butt naked too. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Word, man.
So they have their freedom, but just in more of a sinister way. You know, we need freedom where you can't be shunned for having your own thoughts. You know what I mean? Why do we even use Facebook and these platforms if like even Instagram, they'll shadow ban you won't even know it. You'll just realize that you're not getting the same traction in your post that you used to because they're not letting people see it. You know, and then it's just crazy, man. It's like you got Facebook, you get your like pages, right? So you might have 10,000 people who decided we want to follow this like page or we want to follow this person on Instagram, but they don't even see you. So now Instagram, they want you to pay for the people who've already decided that they want to see you to see you.
Come on.
That's how they keep power, bro. Like they want you to play the game, but they don't want you to get power off the game unless you're paying for that power or they're getting money off of you. So it's hard to it's challenging. It's challenging to truly be on the side of light, to be on the side of truth. Now it's worth it. It's just challenging, you know, because you watch a lot of these guys, man, they slowly start getting bought out, and sometimes they don't even realize it. Little bit of this, little bit of this, little bit of that. Oh yeah, I'll advertise this in here, or it could happen to me. I'm just saying, like somebody could say, hey, we'll give you $10,000 every time you share this ad. Next thing I know, I got 20 people asking me the same thing. Now all you see is ads on Boss Code Media. You know what I'm saying, though? But I gotta feed my family, right?
Yes.
So, and that's when it goes back to holding that fire, bro. It's like, because there's always that other energy trying to taint your fire and taint your purpose and make it. So Tupac had this interview once, and he had this quote that I always related to. He said when he wrote music, he could feel two different forces trying to use his talent.
Ooh.
And he said,
that?
yeah. He said he would scribble stuff out, said, no, I can't say that. I can't say that. And finally he just stopped caring and just let it fly, which made him the person he was probably. But at the same time, it probably sped up his process out of this earth.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's really a wild game, man. It's strategic. You know, they want us to know. They want our minds to be focused on 401k and Roths and saving all this money that we're never going to see because they will be dead. You know what I mean?
Come
But
on.
if we use that money, let's say 5 celebrities got together who are worth $100 million. What if they all took $50 million to build something great? You're still rich.
Come
You're
on.
still rich, but build something that can benefit people. You know, it's just but it's not the mentality that we're taught with. You look at somebody like Bill Gates; he's a trillionaire. That's insane. That much money, man. And if you do have that much money, that means you're really controlling the world. Because they don't even allow you to have money like that unless you're deep in the game. I mean, all we know, he might be the real president. All we know.
Come on.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother story. But
speak it.
I think it's possible, man. But I think it starts with healing, man. And I actually got another project I want to be kicking off that I'm going to text you about later. I'm not going to talk about it on here, but
Okay.
I'll talk to you about, man. And I talked to some other people about, but it starts with us healing as a people first, like you said, being heard, right? It starts with the healing because, first of all, the people don't got the tools and resources. And it's like, how do you get the tools and resources when you're so traumatized from not having the tools and resources? You know what I mean? So, and I hate to give, I don't like to give excuses for people and areas and environments, but at the same time, there's a lot of truth to the mentality and the emotional state of society right now, man. We're desensitized at a high rate. I don't know how we got into all this, but I'm just gonna go.
We are. Thank you. Yeah.
We're desensitized at a high rate. I mean, I remember back in the day when a shooting would happen or something crazy, we would hear about it for weeks and months. The next year, there would be a big anniversary about it, and we'd be talking about it. Bro, we have a shooting. It's just on to the next. We talk about it for an hour. It's on to the next one. On to the next part of life. Meanwhile, 12, 13 people have died. And we're like, oh, man, another shooting. All right, what y'all want to go get for dinner?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, think
Yeah.
about when that first big school shooting happened, the cats in the trench coats and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, the Columbine.
Yeah, like that shocked the world for years, bro.
Yeah.
And that had people scared. It don't even bother people no more.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard because a lot of this news be fake, and we just live in a very synthetic world, man. We live in a very synthetic world. So to answer your question in a long way that I did, I think it's completely necessary. It just comes with a lot of challenges.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But I think the first challenge, one of the challenges, not to expect or desire the masses to be a part of a platform like that. You know what I mean? Because it's not for the masses.
That's right.
You know? So yeah, man, I think it's very necessary and very possible. It's just the right person just has to do it, man. And I think people would like that. Imagine being on a social media platform and all day long you just seen affirmations and you seen scriptures being shared maybe, and you seen people talking about their day and no negativity allowed. That's the only thing we're centering is negativity.
Come on.
You know what I mean? No nonsense, just people healing people.
Yes.
Oh, that's the name right there, people healing people. You know what I'm saying? No, but it's possible, man. It's so desperately needed, and and people get on TV, they talk about mental health and all these things, but it's just a conversation, man. People sit around, they talk about these things, but the people with these resources don't care, man. Like, I mean, people sitting up being billionaires, bro, being billionaires, and they fans is hurting.
Yes, come on.
It's hurting, man. That's why people like Tupac and DMX will always live in my heart, bro, because it was about the fan, it was about the people, it was about that learning, that it was about healing together, it was about being vulnerable, and that's what we need so desperately, man. Like, I mean, you see the internet just like I do. I don't care what post you look under. somebody's dogging each other, talking about like
Yes, man.
there's this young lady I follow, man. She's like in her 20s, and she makes every episode is about. She has 4 kids. You might have seen. I don't know. Every episode is about what she cooks for her 4 kids every day. Wholesome, video fun. She's just showing what she cooks, how she makes it. Bro, every episode there's people in there dogging her. Oh, you probably got 4 baby dads. Oh, why you put so much sugar in your food? Oh, why don't you ever do this? I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, why can somebody, how can somebody do something so wholesome, but people, bro, every post, and I be on there defending it, like, what's wrong with y'all? And she gets like mad views. And she don't care because she probably used to it now. But they be just talking crazy to her. And you see that on every post online. Like, we need a place where people don't have to be exposed to that. You know? Because why keep coming back to that? It's like, I don't know. It teaches people. I don't know. It's just a wild world we live in. We live in a wild world, man. And there's some good points about, like, you know, advancements in technology. This is really cool what we're doing right here. We technology has made it to the point where we can do this. You're in California.
Yes.
I'm in Pennsylvania right now. We're having a cool conversation about life. But man, when you use it for good, it's good. But some people just wake up every day just to argue, to fuss, to speak negative, to tell people they gonna die. I'm just crazy stuff, man. Like, it's wild, man. But I think it's very necessary, man. And like I said, I got a project that I'm working on. I'm gonna talk to you about that. It's about healing, man. It's about healing, and that's what we need right now. I feel like I just went on a rant. That's why I say don't open that can of worms. I'll just start going about the state of affairs right now, you know. But yeah, man, I appreciate your energy.
Yes.
I appreciate that you're patient with where you're going.
Yes.
I appreciate that you understand the freedom that you have to be patient, and that you don't have to wake up and decide today what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it. That's yeah, man, bro. Just stay the course, man, and it's all gonna come to you, man. It's all gonna come. It already is coming to you. You are where you are right now, you know. And your podcast is a confirmation of that patience, called The Process. Yeah, like everything's a process. And everything's a process, you know. So yeah, I thank you for coming on this show, man. We got to do this again because I feel like we can really talk for like we can just go.
I agree 1,000%.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
bro. And I'm gonna be tuning into your podcast, and I'll have the links under here and stuff like that. Yeah, man. Is there anything you want to tell people or last things you want to say before we get out of here?
I mean, the obvious, like follow me on Instagram, official Xavier Simmons. Tune in with more content. Look out for my podcast, like you said, The Process, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify podcasts, and more music on the way. Like I took a break, you know, a content break to just focus on the podcast and really filming it, making sure it got the attention that it deserved.
Right.
And now there's more music on the way. So
man,
be on the lookout for that.
I'm ready to hear it because, like I said, you got it, man. You got it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me know when that music drops, man. But I appreciate you having you on the show. I'll let you know when this video is out, and it'll be on Spotify too. Ladies and gentlemen, Xavier Simmons. I like as you can see, we could have talked for hours, and I'm sure we'll do this again. But thank you, man. Thank you for being you. God bless, and you have a good day, man.
Thank you. You as well, brother. And
appreciate you, man. I'm gonna text you on that project when I get out of here.
Oh, please. Yeah, I'm on it.
All right, man. Appreciate you, man.
Peace, brother.
All right, peace.